Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. Now, you've heard a long and complex case, gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down and try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen.
He doesn't stand a chance. Thank you, but no. You might want a cigarette?
You know something? I know lots of things. I'm in advertising.
You know, it is hot.
I never would have known that if he hadn't told me. Would you?
I suppose not. I kind of forgot.
All I've done all day is sweat.
I bet you're not sweating like that kid who was trying.
They can at least air condition this place. No one's not dead in court.
My taxes are high enough.
Well, this should go fast anyway.
Yes, it's hot. All right, gentlemen, everybody's here. If you need anything, I'll be right outside. Just knock. Did he lock that door?
Yes, he did.
What do they think we are, crooks?
They locked us up for a while.
And then they locked that kid up forever, and that's okay with me.
I never knew they did that.
Sure they locked the door. What'd you think?
Just didn't know.
Never occurred to me.
Look, shall we admit right now it's hot and humid and that our temperatures are short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder how it's been going down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, the company could be gone and your job, too. They aren't going to like this.
Well, I figure this is our duty.
I don't object to doing my duty. I just mentioned I might not have my job by the time I get back.
Well, ask him to already reached Briggs. Look at the suit.
Is it custom tailored?
Yes, it is.
I have an uncle who's a tailor.
How does he do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of his, that's a friend of my uncle's, Taylor. Well, he wanted to be on this jury in my place.
Well, why didn't you let him? I would have done anything to get out of doing this.
You get caught or something? You know what kind of fine you'd have to pay for anything like that? Anyway, this friend of my uncle's was on a jury once, about 10 years ago. A case just about like this one.
So what happened?
They let him off. Reasonable doubt. And you know, about 8 years later, they found out he'd actually done it anyway. A guilty man, a murderer, was turned loose in the street.
They get him?
They couldn't. Why not? Man can't be held in double jeopardy. Unless it's hung jury, they can't try man twice for the same crime.
Yeah, well, you know what? That isn't going to happen here.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Did you guys ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled to their
Everyone
opinion.
gets a fair trial. That's the system. I guess you can't say anything against it.
How do you like that business about the knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, look, you gotta expect that. You know what we're dealing with.
He bought a switch knife that night.
Yeah, and then he lost
A hole in his pocket.
a hole in his father.
And I'll have to wait until your father knife.
Well, look at the kind of people they are. You know them.
What's the matter with you? Got a cold or something?
Oh, boy, a Lulu. These hot weather colds can kill you.
Yeah, I know. I had one last year. Lost a vacation, too. All right, gentlemen. Let's get started. Really? It's better be fast. I got tickets to My Fair Lady for tonight. I must be the only guy in the whole world who hasn't seen it yet. All right, Connor. Start the show. Right. How about sitting down? Gentlemen, by the window. How about sitting down?
No.
Sorry?
It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father. Bing, just like that. Well, it's the element of the thing. They let their kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
There are better proofs of emotion you might have. Perhaps dislike for some group. All right, we all agreed that it was hot.
And that our tempers will get short. That's if we disagree. But this case is open and shut. Let's get it done.
Right.
Now,
You any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If we could discuss it first and then vote, that's one way, or we can vote now and see where we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows? Maybe we can all go home. Yeah, let's see who's where.
Right, let's vote now.
All right, let's vote.
Right. Anyone object?
My part's easy.
All right. All those voting guilty, raise your hands. 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, not guilty.
You're in left field.
All right. 11 to 1. 11 guilty, 1 not guilty. Now we know where we stand.
Do you really believe he's not guilty?
I don't know.
After 6 days, he doesn't know.
In 6 days, I could learn calculus. This is ABC.
I don't believe it's as simple as ABC.
I never saw a guilty man in my life.
What's a guilty man look like? He's not guilty until we say he's guilty. Are we to vote on his face?
You sat right there in court and heard the same things I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You can see
Where
it.
do you look to see if a man's a killer?
Oh, well.
I'd like to know. Please tell me. What are the facial characteristics of a killer?
Look, what about the case makes you think the boy's innocent?
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid.
I agree that the boy is guilty, but I think we should try to avoid emotionally colored arguments.
All right.
Look, they proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe that stupid story you told? Now. Do you believe the kid's story?
I don't know if I believe it. Maybe I don't.
So what'd you vote not guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not that easy for me to just raise my hand and send a boy to die without at least talking about it first.
Yeah, well, who says it's easy for me?
Or me. No one.
He's still just as guilty, whether it's an easy vote or a hard. Is there something wrong because I voted fast?
Not necessarily.
Look, I think the kid's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind.
Just what are you thinking
I
of?
just want to talk. Look, this kid's been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. And do you know why some kids get that way? Because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. Just think we owe him a few words, that's all.
All right, it's hard. It was hard for me. I mean, everything I got, I fought for. I worked my way through college. Maybe that was a long time ago. And maybe you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
I know what it's like. I never killed nobody.
I've been kicked around too. Wait till you work in an ad agency and the big boy that buys the advertisement walks in. We all know.
In my country, in Europe, kicking was a science. Let us try to find something better than that.
Look, I don't mind telling you this, mister, but we don't owe that kid a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what that trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Now, we're all grown-ups in here, and you're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe him knowing what he is? Well, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. You all know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since when is dishonesty a good characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon here.
What this man says is very dangerous.
I don't see why we have to argue like this. I think we all ought to be able to behave like gentlemen.
Right. I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you gentlemen don't mind, I'm going to close the window.
Fine.
It was blowing on me,
If you don't mind, I'd like to have the window open.
but it was blowing on me.
Look, buddy, it's summer, it's hot. Don't you want a little air?
I was very uncomfortable.
Look, there are 12 of us in here. It's the only window that works. The fan doesn't even work.
I have rights too.
So less. Couldn't you trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
I will open the window if someone will trade.
Take my chair. I'll open it for you.
Shall we get back to the case?
Yeah, let's.
I just may have an idea here. I'm just thinking out loud right now. But it seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. I don't know. Maybe we all talked out loud for a minute or two. You know, try to emphasize.
Sounds fair enough.
Very fair. Let's go once around the table. All right, let's do it then.
Right. We'll start with you.
Oh. Well, I just think he's guilty. Thought it was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean, that no one proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. Innocent until proven guilty. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't even have to open his mouth. It's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment.
He said it sounded like a fight. He then heard the kid yell to his father, "I'm gonna kill you!" A second later, he heard a body fall. He ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. And he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of death around midnight.
Right, now what else do you want?
It doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, he couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
Right, did you hear that?
You're absolutely right.
He didn't have any ticket stub.
Kids had ticket stub from the movie.
That's true enough.
I suppose.
But the cashier didn't remember him. And the ticket taker didn't either.
Look, what about the woman across the street? I mean, if her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right, she saw the killer, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Oh, just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed, can't sleep. It's mighty hot in here, you know. Anyway, she wakes up, and she looks out her window. And right across the street, she sees the kid stick a knife into his father.
How could she be sure it was the boy when she saw through the windows of a passing elevated train?
She's known the kid all his life, and his window is right opposite hers, across yellow tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
I heard him swear to it.
Okay, and they proved in court that you can look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
Weren't you telling us just a minute or two ago that we can't trust them, that we can't believe them? So what? Then I'd like to ask you a question. How come you believe her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Oh, you're pretty smart.
Now
fellow.
take it easy. Come on, sit down. What are you letting him get you all upset for? Relax.
Gentlemen, they did take us to the woman's apartment, and we did look through the windows of the passing L train, didn't we?
We did.
And weren't you able to see everything that happened on the other side?
I didn't see it as well as they said I'd see it. But I saw what happened on the other side.
You see? Do you see?
Let's calm down now. It's your turn.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. How about you?
I don't know. I started to be convinced. You know, when the testimony from the people across the hall, didn't they say something about a fight that night between the boy and his father around 7 o'clock? I mean, I can't be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
They heard the father hit the boy twice, and then they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right. Well, what does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
No, I don't know. I mean, most of it's been said already. We can talk about this all day, but I think we're wasting our time.
I don't. Neither do I. Go on.
Okay, then look at the kid's record. He was arrested for money. He stole a car. I think they said he stabbed somebody in the arm or something.
They did.
He was put in reform school. He was picked up for knife fighting.
They put him in reform school for stabbing somebody.
This is a very fine boy. Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists. So without anything like that,
You're right, it's the kids.
the way they are,
They just don't listen. I've got a kid. When he was 8, I saw him run away from a fight. I was so ashamed. I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you someday. I'm going to bust you a piece of crime. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. Big, you know. I've seen him in 3 years. Rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You go and work your heart out. All right, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's the product of a filthy home and a filthy neighborhood. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it. So do you. The children that come out of slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said there, I don't want any part of them, believe me.
I've lived in a slum all my life.
Oh, now
I
wait
used
a
to
second.
play in a backyard filled with garbage. Maybe it still smells on it.
now let's be reasonable. There's nothing
There
personal.
is something personal. Come on, settle down. He didn't mean you, buddy. Let's not be so sensitive.
Well, who did he mean?
I can understand his sensitivity.
Let's stop the bickering.
We're wasting time.
It's your turn. All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this case from the beginning. Somehow I felt that the defense counsel never conducted a thorough enough cross-examination. So many questions were never asked.
Well, it doesn't change my my opinion about the case. I agree the defense counsel was bad.
So?
This is a point.
What about the facts?
So many questions were left unanswered.
What about the questions that were answered? For instance, let's take that cute little switch knife. You know, the one the fine, upright boy admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. I'd like to get it in here and take another look at it. Mr. Foreman?
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. What do you think?
The gentleman has the right to see exhibits and evidence.
Okay.
This knife, pretty strong piece of evidence. Don't you agree?
I do.
Okay. Now let's get the sequence of events correct as they relate to this switch knife.
The boy admits going out of the house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punch.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought a switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day after he admitted selling it to the boy.
We all agree it's a pretty unusual knife. Pretty hard to produce something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife. Sales the only one of its kind he had in stock. Why did the boy get it? As a present for a friend of his, he says. Am I right so far?
You're right.
You bet he's right. Now listen to this man. He knows what he's talking about.
Next, the boy claimed that on his way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. Now there's the story, gentlemen. You know what actually happened. The boy took the knife home, and a few hours later stabbed his father with it, and even remembered to wipe off the fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identifies this knife. Now, are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street, went up to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it, just to be amusing?
No, I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and then someone stabbed his father with a similar. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Now, aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to make any of you accept it. I'm just saying it's possible.
I'm saying it's not possible. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah, what is this?
What do you think
Look
you
at
are?
it, it's the same knife. It's quiet. Let's be quiet.
Where did you get it?
Got it in a junk shop around the corner from the kid's house. Cost $2.
Now you listen to me.
I'm
You
listening.
pulled a real smart trick here, Brett. You proved absolutely zero. So maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
And maybe they're all.
The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose that knife. And maybe he did go to the movies. And maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him was because he sneaked in. And maybe he was ashamed to say so. Can any of you say you never sneaked into the movies once or twice when you were young? I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
We didn't have movies. Maybe the boy was at the movies and maybe he wasn't. Maybe he lied. Do you think he lied?
Oh, now that's a pretty stupid question. Sure he lied.
Well, how about you? Do you think he lied?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer. He lied.
Well, what do you think?
Oh,
Now, wait a second. What are you, the guy's lawyer? Look, there are still 11 of us here who think he's guilty. You're alone. Look, if you want to be stubborn and hang this jury, he'll be trying to get him found guilty as sure as he's born.
Probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We could be here all night.
It's only one night. A man may die.
Oh, come on.
Well, yes, this is true.
I think we ought to get on with it now.
All right, let's get going here.
How do you like this guy?
Well, what do you say? You're the one holding up the show.
Obviously, you don't think the boy's guilty.
I have a doubt in my mind.
But you haven't really presented anything to us that makes it possible for us to accept your doubt. There's the man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy shriek it out.
The woman across the L track, she saw it.
We know we bought a switch knife, and we don't know where it really was. At the movies, earlier that night, the kid and his father did have a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way, and while it doesn't change anything...
Still, you know.
I have a proposition to make. I want you 11 men to vote. By secret ballot, I'll abstain. If there's still 11 votes for guilty, I won't stand alone. We'll take it a guilty verdict right now.
Hey, let's do it then.
Sounds fair? Does everyone agree?
I certainly am.
We're going.
Come on, get down here. Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
That's 6.
Please. 6 guilty. 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 Not guilty.
How do you like that? Who was it? I want to know. Change their mind.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something very strongly. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for our support, and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
That's just fine. The speech is over. Let's get on with it. If there were anything in the boys' favor, I'd vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
As guilty as they get. That's the kid, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out. But he'll come around. He's got to. And fundamentally, he is a very reasonable man.
I guess so.
And if that boy present anything that would back up a not guilty verdict,
It's hard, you know.
exactly. Then what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
What is a reasonable doubt?
Yes, when a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You have to draw the line somewhere. There has to be law and order, otherwise everyone would start knifing people.
Not much doubt here.
Too many think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
Well, you do hear stories about innocent men who have gone to jail or death sometimes. Then years later, things turn out.
And then on the other hand, some killers get turned loose and do it again. Squeeze out some technicality and kill again.
Look, buddy, I was kind of excited when you go. I didn't mean to get nasty. Well, you know how it is. Nothing personal.
Okay, all right then. Supposing you tell me this. If the kid didn't do it, then who did?
As far as I know, we're only concerned with the man on trial. We don't care about anyone else's motives.
All right, I'll let you take that point if it makes you feel special. Enlighten me with this one. Who else had a motive?
I don't know. Boy's father was along in years. Maybe an old grudge.
Remember, it's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This is a very important thing to remember.
I know it's that.
Well, supposing you tell us what your reasonable doubts are. I don't know. This is hard. All I have is an emotion, a feeling. Perhaps you wouldn't understand. No, I wouldn't.
A feeling. What are we gonna do? Spend the night talking about your feelings. What about your facts?
You said a mouthful. Now look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you." Second later, he heard a body falling. Then he ran to the door of his apartment and saw the kid running down the stairs and out the house 15 seconds after that.
Really? Where's the reasonable doubt in that, pray tell?
And let's not forget the woman across the street. She looked through the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, if that's not enough
It's
for you,
not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
How do you like this guy? It's like talking to a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a passing L train. The train had 5 cars, and she saw the killing through the windows of the last 2. She remembers the most insignificant details.
well, what have you got to say about that?
Doesn't sound right to me.
Well, supposing you think about it. Let me play some tic-tac-toe. Might as well pass the time.
This is not a game.
Hey, now wait a minute.
This is a man's wife.
Who do you think you are?
All right, calm down.
Got a good mind to borrow on this table?
Bell them one.
Now, please, I don't want any lights in here.
Did you see the nerve? The absolute nerve.
All right, forget it. It don't mean anything.
How about sitting down? Who does he think he is?
Were we talking about elevated trains?
We were.
So?
All right. How long do you think it takes an elevated train? Going at top speed past a given point.
What has that got to do with anything?
I'd like to know. How long would it take?
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
Neither would I.
I don't think they mentioned it.
Well, what do you think?
About 10 or 12 seconds, maybe.
Sounds about right. Anyone else?
10 seconds perhaps.
About 10 seconds, yeah. All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An elevated train going at top speed takes 10 seconds to pass a given point. Now that given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You can almost reach your arm out the window and touch the L as it goes by. Am I right?
That's right, I tried it.
All right. Now let me ask you this. How many of you have ever lived near the elevated tracks?
I've been close to them.
I lived near the L tracks once, and when the windows open and a train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can barely hear yourself think.
Okay, you can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
That old man who lived downstairs, now he says that he heard the voice say,
He didn't say, he screamed it.
he heard the voice scream, "I'm going to kill you." And 1 second later, he heard the body fall. 1 second, right?
Right.
Now, that woman who lived across the L tracks, she claims that she looked through the windows of the last two cars and saw the body fall, right?
Right.
The last two cars.
So?
The last two cars.
What are you giving us here?
An elevated train going at top speed takes 10 seconds to pass a given point, or 2 seconds per car. So that train had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, maybe more, before the body fell. According to the old woman, that man would have had to have heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you," as the front of the elevated train was roaring past his nose. You think he could have heard it? It's not possible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? Sure he could have heard it.
With an elevated train going by?
He said the boy yelled it at the top of his lungs.
Hell makes a lot of noise.
Well, it's enough for me.
Enough for me, too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe the old man did hear it.
What?
But that Elmer was
What's the matter with you? What are you doing? You calling this old man a liar?
Something doesn't fit.
Well, it stands to reason.
You're crazy. Why would he lie? What has he got to gain? Attention, maybe. You keep coming up with bright sayings. Maybe just send him in the newspaper. They pay $2.
Hey now, what's that got to do with the man's life? What about the old man of right? Bye. Go ahead, you're correctly heard.
Thank you. It's just that I looked at him for a very long time. The seam of his coat was torn under the arm. Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn coat and 2 canes. I think I know him better than anyone else here. This was a quiet, frightened, insignificant man who has been nothing all his life, has never had any recognition, his name in the newspapers. Nobody knows him after 75 years. This is a very sad thing. This is the type of man who needs to be recognized, and to be questioned, and to be listened to, and to be quoted just once. This is very important.
Oh, and you're trying to tell us that he lied about a thing like that just so we can be important?
He wouldn't lie. He just made himself believe he heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I ever heard. Why would you make up a thing like that?
I'm not making it up.
You must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He made himself believe he was telling the truth.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience. What? I am the same type of man.
I think we all understand now.
You want to
Thank
make your
you.
liar? That's fine by me. Hey, now that's too much.
He just called himself a liar.
He didn't say it was a liar, he was just explaining.
Did you just admit you're a liar?
He didn't say it was a liar, he was just explaining the circumstances so we might understand why the old man would have lied. There's a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Please, have some compassion.
Gentlemen, please, we have our job and our duty here. I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
All right, is there anything else? Cough drop? No. Thank you. Anybody want a cough drop?
I'll take one.
Shall we get back to the case?
Yeah. All right. Now there's one more thing about the old man. I think we've proven that he couldn't have heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
All right. Assuming he did hear the boy say that. This phrase, "I'm going to kill you." How many times have you said it? Probably hundreds. Rocky, you do that one more time and I'm going to murder you. Come on, Junior, get out there and kill him. We say it every day. It doesn't mean we're actually going to murder someone.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered.
One thing more. The phrase was, "I'm going to kill you," right? And the kid yelled it at the top of his lungs. Now, don't try and tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
And how they mean it.
Let me ask you this. Do you really think that boy would have screamed it out for the whole neighborhood to hear? I don't think so. He's much too bright.
Bright? Ha! He's a common ignorant slob. He doesn't even speak good English.
He doesn't even speak good English.
Clever enough. I would like to change my vote to not guilty. Are you sure?
Oh yes, I'm sure.
Why did you change your vote?
9-3 in favor of guilty.
Why did you change your vote?
I think there's a doubt.
Where? What's the doubt?
There's the 9.
Oh, gosh. He taught you to believe the fairy tale.
You have a right. Go ahead. The old man did. Maybe he did like you, but then just maybe he did. Maybe the old man didn't like the kid.
Well, that isn't is reasonable doubt.
But what are you basing it on? Stories that this guy made up? You ought to write for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Look, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? Why didn't his lawyer bring up all these fantastic points?
Lawyers can't think of everything.
No, brother. It's you. You come in here pulling stories out of thin air. Now we're supposed to believe that the old man didn't get out of bed, run to the door, and see the kid beat it downstairs 15 seconds after the killing. And the old man swore to this only so he could be important. That is so sweet.
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, I don't care if he spread wings and flew like a bird to get there. He got there.
I don't know what he said, but I don't see how he could run.
Oh,
He said he went. I remember it now. He said he went from his bed to the front door.
And
That's enough, isn't it?
where exactly was his bedroom?
I was down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere? Are we to send a man off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
Oh, I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember it either.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take another look at that diagram of the apartment if we could.
why don't we just run the whole trial over again? Maybe then you can get everything straight.
The bedroom is down the hall somewhere. Do you know? Do you know exactly where? Please, a life is at stake here. Do you know? Mr. Foreman?
I heard you.
All right, what's this one for? How come you're the only one in this room who wants to see the exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one, too.
So do I, and I want to stop wasting time.
Are we going to start waiting for all that nonsense about where the body was found?
No, we're going to find out how an old man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and walks with a pair of canes can get to his front door in 15
He
seconds.
said 20 seconds.
He said 15.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge a thing like that. He said 15. He was positive. He's an old man. Half the time he was confused. You saw that. You all saw that. How can he be positive about anything?
Well, you know. No, we don't. Maybe you do.
Is this what you wanted?
That's right. Thank you.
Sure, that's my job.
You want this? Yes.
Do me a favor. Wake me up when this is over.
Yeah, I looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go ahead.
Thank you. Now, this is the apartment in which the killing took place. The old man's apartment was directly beneath it, and exactly the same. Now, here are the elevated tracks. Here's his bedroom. Here's another bedroom, living room, bathroom, kitchen. Now, the old man was in bed in this room. He says that he got up out of bed and walked to the bedroom door. He walked down the hallway to the front door, opened the door, and looked out onto the steps, just in time to see the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right?
That's the story. That's what happened.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall? The length of the bedroom is 12 feet. Now this hall is 43 feet 6 inches. That old man would have had to have gotten out of bed, gotten his canes, walked 12 feet to his bedroom door, walked 43 feet 6 inches to his front door, unlocked the door, and looked out into the hall. 15 seconds after he heard the body fall. Think it's possible?
Oh, you know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry.
He did hear the kid scream. The man could only walk very slowly. They had to help him into the courtroom.
You make it sound like a long walk. It's not. For an old man who uses canes, it's a very long walk. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Let's see if he could have done it. I'm going to mark off 12 feet, the length of the bedroom.
You can't recreate a thing like that.
Perhaps if we could see it. This isn't a very important part.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
Just let him do it. I can't see any harm in it. Foolish, but go ahead.
Can I get a chair? Thank you. All right now. Let's say that this is the bedroom door. Now, how far would you say it is from that chair to the door of this room?
Well, I'd say about 20 feet.
About 20 feet, yeah.
All right, about 20 feet. That's close enough. From here to the door and back is about 40 feet. Now, I'd say that this is a little bit less than the distance of the hall that the old man would have had to have moved through. Am I right?
A few feet, maybe. Look, this is absolutely insane. What makes you think you can do all this?
We can't stop it. According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. Do you mind if we try? Do you mind? Who's got to watch for the second handoff?
I have.
All right. I want you to slap the table when you want me to start. That'll be the body fall.
We'll time you from there.
Now, let's say he keeps his canes right at his bedside, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm ready for the hand to get to 60. All right, now speed it up. You walk twice as fast as that.
This is, I think, even more quickly than the old man walked into the court.
No, it isn't. You want me to speed it up some, I will.
Speed it up a little.
All right, stop.
Right.
What's the time?
15, 20, 30, 35, 39 seconds.
I can't. I see that.
30.
Now that's interesting. Oh, you know.
What do you think of that?
And the old cripple swore on his oath that it was 15.
He may have been off a little bit the speed the old cripple walked at. But 24 seconds off, well, now you know.
Far be it from me to call anyone a liar, even allowing quite a difference in speed between the old man and you. Why still, there's quite
Quite a discrepancy.
Now, it's my guess that that old man was trying to get to his front door, heard someone racing down the stairs, and assumed that it was the boy.
I think it's possible.
Assume, now listen to me, you people. I've seen all types of dishonesty in my day, but this little play takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell him. You come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up these wild, crazy stories. And you've got some soft-hearted old ladies feeling for you. Well, I'm not. I'm getting real sick of this. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers.
Our fingers? Are you his executioner?
I'm one of them.
Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch for this boy.
Afraid, kid, you better not pull the switch.
I feel sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up.
You're a sadist.
Shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. You're a beast. You disgust me.
Shut up. Oh, let me go. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?
Is there anything wrong, gentlemen? I heard some noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. You can take that back now. We're finished.
Well, what are you looking at?
I don't see why we have to behave like children here.
Nor do I. We have a responsibility. That is the remarkable thing about democracy, that we are, what is the word? Notified. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the innocence or the guilt of a man. We have nothing to lose or to gain by our verdict. This is what makes us so strong. personal thing.
Thank you. Very much.
Why do you thank me?
We forget. It's good to be reminded.
I'm glad we're gonna be civilized about this.
Well, we're still nowhere.
No, we're somewhere. Getting there. Maybe. Maybe.
Who's got an idea?
I think we should try another vote. Mr. Foreman?
It's all right with me. Anybody doesn't want to vote? All right. I'll call off your jury numbers. Okay? I vote guilty. 2,
Not guilty.
3,
Guilty.
4,
Guilty.
5,
Not guilty.
6,
Not guilty.
7,
Guilty.
8,
Not guilty.
9,
Not guilty.
10,
Guilty.
11,
Not guilty.
12,
Guilty.
6 to 6.
Oh, I tell you something. The crime's being committed right here in this room.
the vote is 6 to 6.
We might as well walk into court right now and declare a hung jury. There's just no point in going on anymore.
I'd like to know why you changed your mind. And why you did. And why you changed yours. There are 6 men here who think we may be letting a murderer loose on the streets. Emotion won't do. Why?
Well, it would seem that the old man did not hear the boy run downstairs. And I don't think it's likely that the old man heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." Old man dreamed. But if the boy did scream he was going to kill, then we have the authority, this man, to prove it might not be he was going to kill.
Why don't we just take it into the judge and let the kid take his chances with 12 other guys? 6 to 6. I don't think we'll ever agree on anything.
It's got to be unanimous. And we're never going to convince him.
First I was alone. Now 5 others agree. There is a doubt.
You're never going to convince me that there's a doubt, because I know there isn't no doubt.
I tell you what, maybe we're a hung jury. It happens sometimes.
We're not going to be a hung jury.
But we are right now. We're a perfect balance.
If there's a reasonable doubt, I don't see it.
Doubt is there, in my mind.
Well, maybe we should vote.
What do you mean, vote?
Not again.
I still want to know, vote on what?
Are we or aren't we a hung jury?
I mean, we vote yes, we're a hung jury, or no, we're not a hung jury?
It's just what I was thinking.
We can't even agree on whether or not the window should be open.
We'll make it a majority vote. Majority.
If 7 more of us vote yes, that we are a hung jury, then we take it to the judge and tell him.
Right. And 7 or more vote no, then we're not a hung jury, so we go on to stuff.
Doesn't sound quite right to me.
It's the only solution.
I agree, it's the only way.
Anything to end this.
Are we agreed then? 7 or more votes yes, and we take it into the judge.
Let's call out our votes.
Anyone object? All right. I'll call out your jury numbers once again. I vote yes. We are a hung jury. 2?
No.
3?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
5?
No.
6?
No.
7?
Bet we are.
8?
No.
9?
No.
10?
Yes.
11?
No.
12?
Yes.
Oh, no!
6 to 6.
We can't even get a majority to decide on whether or not we're a hung jury.
I went along with the majority decision on this vote. I didn't agree with voting that way. Not really, and I still don't. So I'm changing my vote. I say no, we're not a hung jury. I believe the boy is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. But there are still some things I want to find out from these gentlemen that changed their minds.
Then we're not a hung jury. So we go on.
Good then, we go on.
Why did you change your vote?
Well, he seems so sure and has made a number of good points, while he just gets mad and insults everyone.
Does the anger and the insult change the guilt of the boy? He did do it. Are you just set a murderer loose when a juror gets mad because he thinks we're letting a murderer loose on the streets?
That's true.
There is a doubt. I don't think so. The L track is straight from the window. Let's take that one. Now, the L would have made a low rumbling noise. L trains screech when they go around curves, so the man could have heard a scream, which is high-pitched, and it is a tenement, so they have thin walls.
Good. That's it. That's it.
And please remember that there weren't any fingerprints on the knife. And this summer, so gloves seem unlikely.
Now, I want you to listen to this man. He's got the goods.
And it would have taken a few seconds to get out a handkerchief and wipe the fingerprints away.
This is the point. Why don't we just find this one to save you? Just what are we talking?
Yes, please, let's be exact.
I'm saying
that the old man may have been wrong about the time it took him to get to the door, but that he was right about whom he saw. Please remember that it may have taken the murderer about 39 seconds to wipe away all the fingerprints and get down the stairs to the place where the old man saw him. The boy, that is.
This is right.
We reconstructed the old man getting out of bed and going to the door. We timed that. Now let's reconstruct the actual crime.
As well as we can reconstruct it.
I think a murder could use up to 30 or 40 seconds pretty easily at that point.
Let's reconstruct the killing.
Yes, let's.
Here, you do the killing.
No, I'll do it.
Okay. How about you be the one that gets stabbed? You're younger than I am. Oh, don't forget, take a second to fall.
And he was found on his side, his right side, so fall and roll onto your right side. If someone hates another person enough to kill them, don't you suppose you're reasonable enough to think that the murderer would look at his victim for a second or two?
Divorce yourself in this particular case. Just human nature.
Seems reasonable.
Wait a minute. He falls and he ends up on his right side. The father did. But stabbing someone isn't like shooting them, even when it's right in the heart. The father would have worked around for a few seconds, lying on the floor there, writing maybe.
That's quite possible. There would have been enough oxygen left in the system to carry him for a second or two, I should think.
But wouldn't the father have cried out?
Maybe the kid held his mouth.
Also, another point we might want to bring up. If someone is clear enough mentally to wipe away fingerprints after murdering someone, would they not also be clear enough mentally to look around the apartment or room in this case to see if there were any clues?
This gets better and better.
We're trying to make it clear. One doesn't talk about quality when murder's involved. Well, let's do it.
About this on the fingerprints. The kid wiped the fingerprints off the knife. Well, what about the doorknob? If I saw a man coming into my home, a man that hated me, he was wiping the doorknob off with a handkerchief as he came in, it would give me an uneasy feeling. So the doorknobs must have been wiped off after the kill. And this too would take some time.
You time the last one. Why don't you time this one too? All right. Flop the table and off you start. I'm waiting for the hand to get in a 16. I'm gonna kill you! He would have wiped both knobs. Stop. Right. 15, 20, 25, 29 and a half seconds. And whoever did murder the man, and I think it was the boy, still had to run down the hall and down the stairs. At least one flight of stairs.
You see? You see?
Frankly, in light of this, I think it's quite reasonable to assume that the old man did see the boy.
So now both times sequences check out. The one you did and the one we did. I mean, what with running down the stairs and everything? I mean, it does pretty much check out on times.
And I'm sure he's an old man who wants attention. He's probably right. But the old man feels the same way everybody else does. Alive as escaped.
So the story of the old man may well be true.
Except for the fact that he absolutely swore under oath that it was only 15 seconds.
And we all seen that it was between 25 and 40 seconds late.
You're now admitting that the old man lies in one case and then tells the truth in the other. While this does tend to confirm the story of the old man, he's now, in part, a proven liar. And this by your own admission.
That may be true, that the old man lies in part, but I think it'll change my vote once more. Guilty.
And what about you? What do you think now?
I don't know. At first, I thought guilty. Then I changed, and now I'm starting to switch back to guilty. I'll put some more thought.
What about you?
No, now I'm in real doubt. Real doubt.
I say guilty. I was right the first time.
Now we're beginning to make sense in here.
Seems to be about 9 to 3 in favor of guilty.
One more man about the old man. One more thing about the old man. How many of you live in apartment buildings?
I don't know what you're thinking, but I know what I'm thinking.
What's that?
I don't live in a tenement, but it is close, and there is just enough light to see your feet. Remember, the light bulbs are very small. The murder took place in a tenement. Remember, we stumbled on the steps?
And the police were using big
flashlight. An old man who misjudges the time by 20 seconds. On this we all agree. The same man recognized the running figure down a dark hallway?
He was 100% wrong about the time. It was twice as long as he thought.
Then could not the old man have been 100% wrong about whom he saw?
That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of. You're pulling it out of thin air.
We're a hung jury, let's be honest about it.
Do you still believe there is no room for reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
Pardon me, but maybe you do not understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who do you think you are to talk to me like that? How do you like this guy? He comes over here running for his life, and before he can even take a big breath of our air, he's telling us how to run the show? The absolute arrogance of him.
No one here is asking where anyone came from.
I was born right here.
Or where your father came from.
Maybe it wouldn't hurt us to take a few tips from people who came running here. Maybe they've learned something that we don't know. We're not so perfect.
Please, it's all right. I'm used to this.
Not all right.
All right, then, all right. I apologize. Please, please forgive me. Is that what you want? Are you happy?
That's what I want.
Oh, good.
Let's stop the arguing. Who's got something constructive to say?
Well, something's been bothering me a little. The whole business about the stab wound and the downward angle of it.
Don't tell me we're gonna start that again. They went over it and over it in court.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. The boy is 5 feet 8 inches tall. His father is 6 feet 2 inches tall. That's the difference of 6 inches. Isn't it kind of awkward to stab down into the chest of someone who's half a foot taller than you are?
Look, you're not gonna be satisfied until you see it again. So, I'm gonna give you a demonstration. Somebody get up. Somebody get up. Okay. Now watch this. I don't want to have to do it again. Is that 6 inches?
That's more than 6 inches.
Okay, that'd be more.
Look out, wait. That's not funny.
What's the matter with you? All right, calm down. No one's hurt, will they?
No, he's hurt.
All right. Here's your angle. Down and in. That's how I stab a tall man in the chest, and that's how it's done. Take a look at it. Down and in. Tell me I'm wrong.
Down and in, I guess there's no argument.
Have you ever stabbed a man?
Well, of course not.
Have you?
All right, let's not be silly.
Have you?
No, I haven't.
Well, then where do you get all of your information about how it's done?
What do you mean? It's just common sense.
Have you seen a man being stabbed before? No. Then let me ask you this. That boy is an experienced knife fighter, even sent to reform school for a knife fighter, right?
That's right.
Doesn't that seem like a pretty awkward way to handle a switch knife?
What are you asking me for?
Wait a minute.
What's the matter with me?
Give me that knife. You've seen a knife fight before?
Yes, I have.
In the movies?
In my backyard, on my stoop, in the vacant lot across the street. Too many of them. Swiss knives came with the neighborhood where I live. Funny I didn't think of them before. I guess you try to forget those things. Anyone who's ever used a Swiss knife would have never stepped downwards. You don't handle a Swiss knife that way. Use it underhanded.
So then the boy couldn't have made the wound that killed his father.
I suppose it's conceivable that he could have made the wound, but it's not likely. Not if you ever had any experience with Swiss knives. And we know that this kid had a lot of experience with Swiss knives.
Well, I don't believe it.
Neither do I. You're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo here.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know.
How about you?
Look, I'll tell you something. I'm a little sick of this whole thing already. Let's just break it up and go home.
Before we decide on anything more, I'd like to try and pull this thing together.
Well, this should be good.
He has a right. Let him go ahead. You already timed this one too?
Let's hear it.
I'm in advertising, and I'm just the big shot pulling things together. Let's chip up a few shots and see if any of them land on the greens.
Sit down.
All right. I want you all to look at this, logically and consistently.
We have. Guilty.
I want to know, is this kid smart, or is he dumb?
What do you mean?
is an experienced knife fighter. Now we know that the night of the murder, he bought a knife, a switch knife. It would then take a very dumb kid to go and murder a man, his own father, with an instrument that everyone would associate with the kid.
I quite agree, he's dumb.
However, if he were dumb, then why did he make the type of wound that an inexperienced man would make with a knife?
I'm not sure I understand.
To murder someone must take great emotion and great hatred. And at that moment, he would have handled the knife as best as he could. And a trained knife fighter would handle it as he had been trained. Underhand. A man who had not been trained would go overhand. But everyone knows that the kid is an experienced knife fighter, so he's smart enough at that moment to make the type of wound that an amateur would make with a knife. Now I want to know, is this kid smart or is he dumb?
Hey now, wait a minute.
Well, the woman across the L track saw the murder through the windows of an elevated train. So maybe a passenger on the train might have seen the murder too.
Possibility, but no one did that we know of.
It would take an awfully dumb man to take that chance, committing murder with an L train passing by.
Sadly, a dumb man, a very stupid man, a man swept by emotion. Probably he heard nothing. He probably didn't even hear the L train as it went by. And whoever murdered that boy would have done it as best as he could. So, here's a boy who does everything, to associate himself with a switch knife. And then, a moment after the murder, he becomes smart again. To make this kid guilty, you have to say that he's smart enough at one moment, or pardon me, dumb enough at one moment to buy a knife, a switch knife. And then he's smart enough to make the type of wound that would lead us to suspect someone else. And then he becomes dumb enough to commit the murder as an elevated train were going by. And then once again, he becomes smart enough to wipe fingerprints away. To make this boy guilty, you have to say that he's dumb from 8 o'clock until about midnight. And then around midnight, he's smart for a second. Then he becomes dumb for a few seconds. Then he's smart once again. And once again, he becomes stupid. So stupid, in fact, that he can't think of a good alibi. To make this kid guilty, you have to toss his intelligence like a pancake. There is doubt.
I hadn't thought of that.
And the old man downstairs, on the stand, he swore that it was 15 seconds. He insisted on 15 seconds. But we all agree it must have been almost 40.
Does the old man lie half the time and then tell the truth the other half of the time?
For this kid to be guilty, he has to be smart, and then stupid, and then smart, and then stupid, and so on. And also for the kid to be guilty, the old man. The old man has to lie half of the time, and the other half of the time he must tell the truth. You can reasonably doubt.
Fine. I'm sold on reasonable doubt.
I think I am too. I wanted more talk. Now I've had it.
I want another vote.
All right, there's another vote called for. I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. Anyone object? All right. All those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 9. Okay, guilty. 3. Seems to be about 9 to 3 in favor of acquittal.
You know, I don't understand you people. How can you believe that this kid is innocent? Look, you know how those people lie. I don't have to tell you, they don't know what the truth is. And let me tell you, they don't need a real big reason to kill somebody either. You know, we get drunk and bang, somebody's lying in the gutter. Look, nobody's blaming them, it's just how they are. You know what I mean, they're violent. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us. Hey, where are you going?
saw the murder committed.
Well, that's right. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony.
All right, let's talk about her testimony. What did she say?
I believe I can recount it accurately. She said she went to bed at about 11 o'clock that night. Her bed was right next to the window, and she could look out that window while lying down and see directly into the window across the street. She tossed and turned for about an hour, unable to fall asleep. Then, at about 12:10, she looked out that window and saw the boy stab his father.
That's just it. That's what I mean.
As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony. Frankly, in view of this, I don't see how you can vote for acquittal. What do you think?
Well, maybe. There's just so much evidence to say.
What do you mean, maybe? He's absolutely right. You can throw out all the other evidence.
That was my thought. I don't deny the validity of any of the points he's made. Shall we say, on one side of the tracks, there is doubt. But what about the woman? She saw it.
What time is it?
8 of 6.
You don't suppose they let us go home and finish this in the morning because see, I haven't got to get over the books.
Not a chance.
Can't you see your watch without your glasses on?
No, not clearly. Glasses are a nuisance, aren't they?
Well, what do you do when you wake up in the middle of the night and you want to know time it is?
I put my glasses on and look at the clock. I just wait for the clock to chime. My father gave it to us when we were married, my wife and I. I had 10 years before I had a place to put it.
Do you wear your glasses to bed?
Of course not. No one wears eyeglasses in bed.
What about the woman who testified that she saw the murder? She wore glasses. What about her?
Did she wear glasses?
Of course! The old lady wore bifocals. I remember this very clearly. They look quite strong.
That's right. Bifocals. She never took them off.
That hadn't occurred to me.
I think it's logical to say that that woman wasn't wearing her glasses when the murder took place. And I don't think she put her glasses on to casually glance out the window. Now, she testified that the murder took place the instant she looked out the window. That the lights went out a split second later. She wouldn't have had time then to put her glasses on. Now, she may have honestly thought that she saw the boy kill his father, but I say she only saw a blur.
How do you know what she saw? Maybe she's farsighted. How do you know all these things? How does he know all these things?
Does anyone else still think that there's not a reasonable doubt?
I'll always wonder, but there is a reasonable doubt.
I think he's guilty.
Is anyone else?
No, I'm convinced now. There is a reasonable doubt.
You're alone.
11 votes, not guilty. 1 vote, guilty.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. I have my rights.
Yes, you have your rights.
Well, I told you. I think he's guilty. What else do you want?
Your arguments.
I gave you my arguments.
We're not convinced. We're waiting to hear them again. We have time.
What's the matter with you? You're the guy. You gave all the arguments. You can't turn down. A guilty man will be walking the streets. A murderer. He's got to die. Stay with
I'm
me.
sorry, I don't think I'm wrong often, but I guess I was just once. There is a reasonable doubt.
We're waiting.
You're not going to me. I'm entitled to my opinion. It's going to be a hung jury. That's it.
And there's nothing that we can do except that hope that someday, maybe in a few months, or maybe you might get some sleep.
You're all alone.
It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone.
If you do hang this jury, and there is another trial, then some of us will point these things out to the various lawyers.
Come on, guys. Something's got to be true. Come on. All right!
We're waiting. Not guilty.
Not guilty.
We'd like to thank the people who have helped us out on this play, and I'm giving these flowers to Miss Hinds. She helps us backstage. She does all this great makeup and makes us look old. And I sort of wanted to give this to her because last year during Fiddler on the Roof, she gave me that great beard. And we're all really happy, that there weren't any beards for this except for me. Except for me.
Last show here because maybe, well, possibly here in Sequoyah.
Hopefully.
Nonetheless, he's leaving eventually, and so he's a great help. Not only that, but he's also my Spanish teacher. So you're really understanding why I don't have my homework done tomorrow.
Hold on.
Oh, you didn't? I'll speak up then. I would like to give these to Miss Lewis, the assistant director. She was wonderful.
Okay, we're not sure if he's here tonight.
Mr. Parker, we're giving him the award for Best Director. He not only directed this, but provided a lot of moral support and was a good friend to all of us.
Well, we got one more to do this year. You can't take it with you. Auditions
running a business.